This is your no bullshit guide to a happier life. Quick, but not necessarily easy tips to help you to squeeze every last drop of enjoyment out of your business and your life. My name is Helen Calvert. I'm a coach, a business owner and a parent, and I'm so happy to be here with you. I do swear occasionally, as the title suggests, so pop in your headphones if I'm not safe for little ears. Ready to go? Let's do this. Hello and welcome to this episode where we are going to be talking about laughter yoga. Have you heard of this? I don't want to be one of those god-awful journalist types who says, have you heard about the latest craze sweeping the nation, when you're all thinking, yes, Helen, we came across laughter yoga years ago. Very familiar with it, thank you. Just because it's new to me doesn't mean it's new to you, but it was new to me. And I came across it because of a woman called Sarah Kay, who is in my network, who runs Serious Laughter and is passionate about the benefits of laughter for our health. So on her website, it says, laughter yoga is a special exercise routine with simulated laughter and deep yogic breathing. Regular well-being laughter workshops are proven to really help both mental health and physical health, melts stress and relieves anxiety, enables you to cope with ease, creates positivity and improves your immune system. Can't go wrong, can you, really, with those kind of outcomes? Sounds absolutely fantastic. So it's a mixture of, as she says, simulated laughter, so forcing yourself to laugh. So rather than finding something funny, actually going, ha ha ha, ha 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 ha. And yes, it does sound somewhat bizarre, but that's what it is. And interspersed with proper big deep breaths, both of which things are beneficial to health. We know this, don't we? What do they say? Laughter is the best medicine. That's a cliche for a reason. And we know that deep breathing is great for our health. So with that in mind, I bought Sarah's ebook, which is called Start Your Day the Laughter Way, which is a really good introduction to some simple exercises you can do by yourself to test out what laughter yoga is all about. And I then, having worked through that ebook, I attended one of her Saturday morning short laughter bursts, which was a Zoom get-together, which was lovely. So this is me kind of feeding back, I guess, as to what I discovered about laughter yoga. Now, straight up, there was a challenge for me because I'm an introvert and I'm an underfunctioner, which means when I'm stressed, I like to do, or I tend to do less rather than more. So if you imagine, if I get a chance to be by myself or take some downtime, I tend to be very, very quiet. I know it'll surprise you, but I do. I tend to be very, very quiet, not move very much, and the idea of doing something very active and noisy, like laughing out loud, just felt challenging. And clearly doing it with the children around would have been a different kind of challenge, because then perhaps you're a little self-conscious doing it in front of people. And making a big noise in a silent house when I am on my own felt like it could be quite jarring. So straight away I was like, not sure about this. But the booklet says it's also cardiovascular exercise, which was motivating. It's like, love a bit of cardio, nothing wrong with that. So I gave it a go. Now, I'm not going to tell you what the exercises are. You have to buy the ebook for that, and I will put a link in the show notes. But they're very short and they're really easy to do, just things you can do in the house, in your own home. And they are surprisingly energizing. And actually, they felt more natural than I expected. If something felt ridiculously forced, I did stop. But, laughter is a pretty natural reaction. It's something we actually do a lot, or hopefully we do a lot, and it didn't feel as weirdly forced as I thought it would. It definitely is energizing, and Sarah talks about it being energizing, but actually some of the exercises made me feel calmer. And I think that's because when you do let out a noise, I guess, it is a release, it's a release of tension. And it's also just concentrating on something that isn't your own round and round and round and round thoughts. It's like if you're doing a laughter exercise, then you're not for a few minutes thinking about the to-do list and what needs to happen next and that thing you're worried about, so anything like that is just a good, like I said in the last episode, a good circuit breaker for the mounting stress. Now, we know that laughter is a recognised stress cycle completer. When we feel stress in our bodies, laughter is a great way to signal to our bodies that we can get rid of that stress or let go of that stress. It lets our body know that the stress doesn't need to stay. So it's going to be good for stress, whether you find it energizing, calming, whatever you think, it is going to help you complete those cycles of stress. I must admit, I was glad I lived alone though, because I think you do need to expect to feel a little bit self-conscious doing some of the exercises around other people, unless you're doing them together. There is one that is silent, but most of them are out loud. So that's something to consider. But I can see how some of them would also be great for releasing some frustration and tension. But whilst I was going through the exercises and going through the book, I did realise that I do spend some time giggling away to myself anyway. When my adrenaline is flowing or if I'm happy and excited, I do find myself actually releasing that in little bursts of laughter. I have been known to just stand in my kitchen and have a wave of life's so good and kind of just go just a little giggle away to myself. So I think it is a little release valve, usually for positive thoughts for me. Laughter, we tend to think of it as a positive thing, but it also can just release tension and make us feel better. And I guess the simulated nature of it really is a prime example of kind of fake it till you make it, You don't have to feel like something's funny. You don't have to feel happy to start it. But by the end of it, you will be feeling better. So then I did the laughter burst on the Saturday morning over Zoom. And I was feeling really good that day. So I really enjoyed it. It was brilliant. But I will caveat with the fact that, again, as someone who's an introvert and someone who underfunctions, if I had felt anxious, it would have been impossible for me to do it. You feel quite exposed and vulnerable because you're doing something that makes you feel self-conscious in front of other people that you don't know. And by the end of it, it was totally natural. But at the start, it took some doing. So if you are like me, I think it would not be a tool to use when the anxiety is running high. Certainly not doing it with other people. So it is a tool that I think I will use when there is frustration or when I just feel like I need to get the energy flowing, when I feel like I need to release some tension, or if I'm in the mood for just a bloody good giggle, which can be found in many places. But I don't think for me it will be a tool for lessening anxiety because it just won't feel possible for me to do it when the anxiety is high. But as I say, I felt good that day, so it was loads of fun. And we did some of the exercises from the book and we did some other exercises too. And one of the things that Sarah brought to my attention, or brought to all of our attention, was the fact that you can consciously laugh out a situation. So you'll know yourself, you've had an embarrassing moment or something's happened that's been pretty challenging. But then you've told the story to a friend and you've both found it funny and it kind of releases the tension around that memory. So what Sarah does is she does that consciously. She chooses to laugh out a situation and she showed us how to do it. She was explaining something that had happened to her that was just massively frustrating. And you could tell that in the moment at the time, she'd just been so frustrated and annoyed. It had not been funny. But she was laughing about it as she told it and encouraging us to laugh about it and encouraging us to imagine her in this particular scenario and to laugh about it. And it's literally laughing it out. And I found this really interesting. Of course, it's not going to be appropriate for every challenge you face. I mean, some things are just never going to be funny for a start. It's not always going to be appropriate. But what an interesting tool for those times when something's just nagging at you and you can't stop thinking about it, especially those times when something was embarrassing. It's like, just laugh it out, because it's funny. Life is funny, and sometimes we take it way too seriously. Serious things are serious, but sometimes, we've just got to learn to laugh. So I did find that really interesting. So how can laughter yoga contribute to a happier life? Well, it releases tension, it energizes or calms you, it takes you out of your own head, and it gets you used to feeling a little bit of joy. And I suspect if you make yourself laugh more regularly, you will find it that natural laughter comes more easily to you. I would imagine it ups the level of joy you find in your day, which we could all do with a bit of that, couldn't we? So I guess, are there any bullshit elements to it? No, I think it genuinely does help, but you would have to be quite an out there person to do it unselfconsciously when you were feeling stressed. So I think it's a genuinely good tool, but I don't think it will work for everyone in every situation. But then that's true of all the tools in our toolkit, isn't it? So our mindset block alert for this one is imagining that forcing yourself to laugh can't possibly be helpful. It's so fake. How can that possibly do anything useful? Laughter is supposed to be a spontaneous expression of hilarity. And how can just standing there in your bedroom making yourself laugh in the morning work? Well, I would encourage you to give it a try. You might find that is true for you, but certainly for me, and I was surprised, I found that it is beneficial. So I think that is certainly a block to challenge. I would give it a go. And if you think about it, it's the same as people who tell you to scream into a pillow or shout out loud or make a loud noise. It's that release of noise and tension, as well as the fact that with laughter, it's a joyful thing. And we all need a little bit more joy. And again, it is kind of interspersed, all the exercises are interspersed with deep breathing. So it's not just about laughing heartily and suddenly feeling so much better. It's that with deep breathing, which I guess is where the yoga element comes from. And we know how important deep breathing is. I probably say it at least 3 times a week to clients, just actually take a deep breath. No, but actually do it. Because most people, when you tell them to take a deep breath, they kind of nod and go, yeah, absolutely, and then carry on with their stress. And it's like, no, I don't mean metaphorically. I mean, actually stop and pause and take a deep breath, which according to my little clock on my recording software just took me 2 seconds. Like, if we don't have 2 seconds to take a deep breath, something's probably quite wrong, but it's so beneficial. So laughter coupled with deep breathing, that is what laughter yoga is. And you can do it by yourself, you can do it in a group, you can find people to do it with or to just laugh with. If nothing else, if this episode reminds you that laughter is indeed the best medicine, then seek out things that genuinely make you laugh, even if you don't want to have a try at laughing as exercise. But I think it's a great tool. It's one that I now have in my toolkit and I love adding to my toolkit, so I would encourage you to check it out. Until next time, be excessively kind to yourself and don't take yourself too seriously. And let's try to squeeze every last drop of enjoyment out of life. Speak to you next time. Thank you so much for listening. It's great to have you along for the ride. If you enjoyed the episode, I'd be so grateful if you could leave me a review. And don't forget to subscribe so you know when new episodes are up. If you identified a mindset block during the episode and would like to work with me one-to-one, you can find out how in the show notes. See you next time.